everyone, Tina here. I hope your day's going fantastic. Thanks so much for joining me for another 5 easy step card tutorial. Today we are making a Just Because card and we're using a Christmas die set. I'm using some more items from Spellbinders All About Christmas collection, and this collection was so versatile for me. So I've created 2 other videos creating one Christmas card and then one not so Christmas card, and we're gonna basically do the same thing today. Although the card that I'm going to share with you at the end is a Christmas card, but I already put it together. Okay, we are using the Christmas foliage to make a not Christmas card. I think dies like this are so easy to create regular cards. There's a poinsettia in here that looks like a flower. There's some simple leaves. There is holly, of course, and then there's some pine needles. But the pine needles are a little bit less pointed, more rounded. So it just looks like foliage. So we'll be using this for our focal point. We're going to be using the lots of circles, color dots here for our card today. And then we're going to be using 2 Stampin' die sets for the card we're making right now. We're going to make You Make Me Smile sentiments. This is probably one of my favorites. And then we also have the Merry sentiments that came out with the release. It's super fun. Okay, because it has a coordinating stamp set. So we're not using this today. I already used it on the card that I'm going to share with you at the end. But let's jump in with step number 1 and create our focal image. We're going to do some die cutting, and I kind of figured out a color theme. I was going for gray. This was my color theme here, and white. I think I've been doing a lot of bright tones color. I'm going to try and tone it down a little bit today. With fall season being around the corner, this would be a great Just Because card for the fall. Okay, so we're going to be using these to create our elements. I love florals, and so we're going to die cut out our florals. There's 2 flowers you layer together. I'm going to die cut these out with my teal colored cardstock. This is Waterfall. It's from Spellbinders ColorWheel collection. And then this is Oceanside. I think Oceanside. I don't use this very often, but it is a stunner. Yeah, it's Oceanside. So I'll cut out my flowers with this also. Okay, with the brown, this is Spellbinders Fawn cardstock. I thought we would cut out the pine needles to give them a little bit of a rustic look. And then the foliage, we're not going green. I'm going to go white. Oops. So that will be, the leaves we're just going to go with white. And then I have some of the gray card. This here is Spellbinders Fog. It is a gray. And we're going to cut out, you know what, I don't think we're going to use the gray. I want gray in my background, so we're not going to use the gray. We're going to use, we're going to take the flower buds and die cut that out with my fawn cardstock also. We have the buds we'll cut out with both colors here. And then we have the flower center. Oh, that's why I had the gray. Okay. I have them in piles. I kind of have an idea of what I want to do, and so sometimes I'll forget. Age. I'm going to need to take my ginkgo biloba. But I'm going to die cut out my flower center with the fog cardstock. Bring in a little bit more gray. And lastly, I'm going to bring in some gold. I think this is the matte gold from my treasured cardstock. No, I think this is matte, yeah, matte metallic gold. It's this one. Okay, I'm going to die cut out the leaf here with my matte gold. Bring in a little extra gold. What I love about the die set is the holly, and this leaf here, let me show you. It has accent pieces. You can't really see there, huh? This one here, and then this one here. This one layers on this leaf. This one layers on the holly. So you can create half and half or 2 tones. Little details like that are awesome and make a better foliage. Although we're having a lot going on here, we're not going to use those, but I do want to share that with you. Let's jump in, do some die cutting, and I'll be right back. My die cutting is all done. I'm not going to ink blend today. We're just going to put these together. So let me grab my glue. we're going to take our little flower bud branches. I'm going to flip it over, add little dots of glue behind here. And then I'm going to bring my flower buds to this by just pressing. For me, this is just easier. To add it with the little tap than it is to use my pickup tool. It didn't take no time at all. We'll do that again here. We'll add some dots of glue on the top portion of the flower bed, and then I'm going to flip it around, and then we're just going to tap those little circles on here. We'll do our last one. Didn't take any time at all. We have 2 flower buds. Now the flowers, these ones are a little bit delicate, especially when I use the treasured cardstock. I want to be careful with those. Okay, now with our flowers, I'm just going to add a little glue here, and we're just going to layer them. I'll add a little more glue, and we can add the flower center. To create my focal image, we're going to put it together, and for me what's going to make it easier is taking a 1-inch circle punch, or you could just use a scratch piece of paper if you want. And then I'm just going to punch some cardstock, and then I'm going to add some glue here. We're going to actually punch 2 of these. Okay, we're going to layer 2 of these together. This will be better. Okay, just for a base. Sometimes this is easier just creating your floral versus doing it directly on your card. Let's see. The nice thing about when adding glue is there's a little bit of time for you to manipulate around it. Now we're going to add our branches. We just do a little tucking here. Then I'm going to add a little more glue here. And when I add my leaves to my flower arrangements, I just add glue to the very bottom. I don't always add it all the way up. I kind of like the free-flowing look of this. We'll tuck this in here. Now I'm going to fluff up the leaves a little bit, but I think that makes a really pretty flower arrangement. And really there's no right or wrong. Okay, I only use 3 of these. Sometimes odd numbers are nice. But so that will be my focal point. Okay, next we're going to move along to our home panel. Now for my home panel, we're going to bring in some of that gray cardstock. And the gray cardstock is what I use for my flower centers. And I thought we would add some more gold using our stencil. So I'm going to take the stencil here. I'm going to layer it here. I'm going to bring in this here just so I don't have a messy desk. Okay, and you know what this is? I picked this up from the dollar store, and it's a cutting board, one of those cheap plastic cutting boards. Let me show you. I bought 2 packs. There are 2 pieces in here. They're super big. Let me just open it up for you. Okay, you see how big they are? Actually, this would be great. Okay, and what I do is I trim them down in half and trim a little bit off the side here. And then I use my corner rounder. Sometimes I use my scissors just to curve the corners. And then these work great for crafting, and they're inexpensive. So each piece is like, 60 cents, 65 cents each. And they clean it pretty well with alcohol. Let me show you. Depending on what inks you use, they clean up pretty good with alcohol. Let me see if, I don't know what side this is on. Let me show you. You see how it cleans up pretty good with alcohol? So these are nice little desk protectors from your Dollar Store. If they were $1, then they bumped it up to that $1.25. But they still, I think it's worth it because you get two, which would be 4 of these. Okay, so that's a little Dollar Tree bonus tool idea. Okay, we are going to bring in Lunar paste today. This is Simon Hurley's Lunar paste, and this is slippery when wet. And it creates a really pretty gold background. If you wanted to buff it in here with a finger dauber, you could do that. Or if you want texture, which I do, you can just use a palette knife. Spellbinders has really nice palette knives. So does Hero Arts. But I'm just going to go over this. And you know what? Let me show you. You probably don't know what I mean when I say you could buff it in. If you have a finger dauber, this is the one I actually use for glue. You could pick up a little bit of ink here, and then you could add gold without the bulk over the stencil. It will actually take less time to dry. If you wanted to do that, I think it would add a beautiful gold finish. That's the nice thing about the Lunar paste. They're very versatile. But I'm just going to go over it with my palette knife. Okay, I think that looks good. I just want to make sure that the tops are kind of smooth. And then I'm going to lift it up here. And then any harsh edges, I will go over with my hand. And look at the texture that adds. I'm hoping, I messed up a little bit there, but I have a backup. Let me show you. Because this takes a little bit of time to dry, and I'm not a very patient person, so I did one and I already dried it. So you can cover that with a flower if you mess up. So this is pretty neat stuff. Now I'm going to put the rest of this back, and I will wash off my Lunar paste really quickly, and then we'll continue with our background. Okay, now I am going to take our focal image, which is, to me this doesn't look Christmas. Let me know in the comments if you think this looks like Christmas or not. I think I can get away with this as being not Christmas. I think this would be a nice little engagement card too. But I'm going to add some glue behind those circles. And I use a circle punch. You don't have to. Just use some scratch paper. So go through your trash bin next to you and just use a piece of scratch paper. I think that would work great too. And I'm putting it up in the top corner. And that is all there is to that. I have my home panel and my focal point, and now we're going to move along to step number 3 and create my sentiment. That is where my smile will come in. And I've used this a lot. I'm not going to use a sub-sentiment. We're not going to do any stamping with the sub-sentiments, but I am going to die cut out my smile with that same matte gold cardstock. Okay, and then I'm going to go soft. So I'm going to take, there's 2 shadow dies, and you know the size difference. Okay, I'm going to take the middle size, and I'm going to die cut this out with a piece of vellum. Once these are die cut, I'm actually going to bring back that cutting mat, or I'm just going to call it my craft mat. I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to add some glue and directly adhere it to my smile. I'm going to use that finger dauber. This was the same finger dauber I showed you how to add the solar paste to. I rinse it with hot soapy water, and the solar paste comes out. So I have one of those specifically for my glue, which we're going to use right now. I'm just going to put a little glue here, and I'm going to add it to the back of my smile. To me, this is so easy. I get heavy-handed with my glue, with my stamping too, and so this doesn't leave any. It leaves minimal gluing on the reverse side. How about that? It does leave a little bit. depending how crazy you go with your glue. But I'm just going to layer it on my vellum here. If you wanted to add a couple layers for a little dimension on your smile, you can, but I'm not worried about it because I'm going to use some micro squares. I've been loving these. What's nice about the micro squares is that the release paper comes up really easy, which makes it really nice. And I'm going to actually wipe my glue off. I had put water on top of my glue so it didn't dry, so it was easy to pick up with water. I just used my water bottle, add a little spray to the glue. That way it doesn't dry on my surface. Okay, now I'm going to take my smile and I'm going to actually do a little overlapping with it, except for the flower bud. I'm going to add it here. Okay, now that's my greeting. Now we're going to move along to step number 4 and create our background. We're going really simple. When we have a really busy home panel and focal image, I go really simple. Usually it's just a piece of pattern paper or some colored cardstock. This is the same gray cardstock that we used for our home panel, and I'm going to add this to my card base. Once this is adhered, I'm going to take my home panel, which I did put foam tape behind. We're going to layer this directly in the center. Okay, and then we're going to move along to step number 5 and add our embellishments. I'm bringing in my Gold Mix Color Essential Gems, and we're going to add, there's some lighter tone and darker tone. I'm taking the darker tone because I don't have enough of the lighter tone. And I'm going to add these directly to those dots that are on our flower centers. We're going to fancy this up a little bit. Adding gems to flower centers fancies it up and makes it, I think, really elegant. Okay, we'll add our last one. That's all I'm going to do is just put 4 gems in each center. And then that's all we're going to do for embellishing. That will finish off that card using the Christmas foliage. So I think I can get away with this not being Christmas. Of course, I think it'd make a gorgeous Christmas card too. But I had made a Christmas card using the Merry and Bright, the Merry Sentiments, this one. I used it for this card. And then I used non-traditional colors. I did throw on some reds though. Let me just fluff up. I love to fluff up my petals. Give it a little bit of dimension. If you put foam tape behind there, it'll help keep them lifted. But for pictures, I like to have them fluffed up. But this is the card that I made for Christmas. And instead of putting the stenciled area on my home panel, this one I put it on my background, and I just did a little section here and a little section here, so my home panel doesn't have any. I did a little bit different, shook it up a little bit, but it kind of looks the same. I'm using the same stencil set, kind of non-traditional colors, blues, but I think it does look merry. But those are my card projects for today. Thanks so much for joining me. I wish you a fantastic, lovely day, and I have more fun projects to share with you, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see you in a little while. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for sticking with me to the end. I have 2 more videos that you guys might be interested here. If you guys are new and like the content that you see, click that subscribe button and also the notification bell. That way for future videos, be notified. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It sure does help the channel. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.